Hey, everybody, and welcome back. It's Technologica with John and Lisa.
Ever been caught in a storm, like a really bad one, and your phone just goes dead?
Go.
Signal's gone, can't call anyone, can't check the news. It's scary, right?
Absolutely. A total loss of connection when you need it most.
Exactly. And that's what we're diving into today because Hurricane Helene just slammed into North Carolina and it knocked out a staggering number of cell towers.
It did indeed.
74%. Can you believe that?
That's a critical blow to communication infrastructure, a stark reminder of its vulnerability.
And it's not just about making calls, it's about emergency alerts, checking on loved ones, coordinating rescue efforts, all that stuff goes dark.
Right, suddenly you're back in the dark ages,
Yeah.
cut off from the information highways we've come to rely on.
It's a stark reminder of how crucial reliable communication is during emergencies. But here's where it gets really interesting, because into this chaos steps SpaceX, the space exploration company,
Elon Musk's company, yes.
with Starlink, their satellite internet system.
Which I have to say is a pretty cool application of space technology here on Earth.
Totally. So we've all heard of satellite internet, but this is different, right?
It is, and that difference lies in the satellites themselves.
Okay. How so?
Traditional satellite internet uses satellites in geostationary orbit, way out there, thousands of miles above Earth.
Right. Way out there.
Starlink, on the other hand, uses a constellation of low Earth orbit satellites, much closer to the surface.
So closer means faster.
Exactly. And that speed makes all the difference, especially in a fast-moving situation like a hurricane.
Makes sense because, and I was reading this, those traditional satellites, they're so far away that there's a noticeable lag, like a delay in the signal.
Oh, absolutely. Latency is the term, and it makes things like video calls or online gaming a nightmare.
Right, totally. But with Starlink, because the satellites are closer, that lag is practically gone.
It's dramatically reduced, making real-time communication possible.
So in this case, with Hurricane Helene, Starlink was able to step in and provide some level of connectivity.
They partnered with T-Mobile to actually beam signals directly to compatible phones, bypassing the down cell towers entirely.
That's incredible. It's like something out of a movie, space tech to the rescue.
It's a great example of how this technology can bridge the gap in emergency situations.
But, and there's always a but, it's not a perfect solution, is it?
No, it's still early days for this kind of direct-to-cell satellite technology, and there are limitations.
Like what?
Well, for one thing, the full Starlink constellation isn't even deployed yet.
Right, they're still working on launching all those satellites.
Exactly. So the coverage, while growing, isn't global yet.
And that's a big one, right? I mean, what happens if a hurricane hits an area where Starlink doesn't have coverage?
That's a valid concern, and it highlights the need for a multifaceted approach to disaster communication.
Right. It can't be the only solution, but it could be part of a broader strategy.
Absolutely. And then there's the issue of bandwidth. The articles mentioned that right now, Starlink's direct-to-cell service is primarily focused on emergency alerts and basic texting.
Yeah, I saw that too. So no making TikToks during a hurricane just yet.
Not quite. Voice calls are being tested, but data-intensive services like video streaming or large file downloads are still a long way off.
That makes sense. I mean, it's still relying on a network of satellites. There's got to be some limit to how much information they can handle at once.
Exactly. It's a powerful technology, but it has its limitations.
Still, it's pretty amazing to see it in action, especially knowing this is just the beginning.
It really does feel like we're witnessing a potential paradigm shift in how we think about connectivity, not just in emergencies, but in general.
And this brings up another interesting point. The role of the FCC in all of this. They've been pretty involved in facilitating this partnership between SpaceX and T-Mobile.
They have. And that raises some intriguing questions about how this type of public-private partnership might shape the future of emergency communication.
Right. On the one hand, you have the innovation and resources of the private sector, which can be incredibly valuable in developing and deploying these technologies quickly.
Absolutely. The speed at which SpaceX has been able to deploy and refine Starlink is impressive.
But on the other hand, you have concerns about regulation, oversight, and ensuring equitable access for everyone, not just those who can afford it.
It's a delicate balance, for sure, especially when you're talking about a service as essential as communication during emergencies. It's almost like a utility in those situations.
Exactly. And that's where things get really interesting. If this technology proves successful and scalable, could we see a future where internet access is considered a public good, like electricity or water, especially during emergencies?
That's a fascinating question and one that I don't think has an easy answer.
Definitely not. But it's something worth thinking about. I mean, imagine a world where no matter where you are, no matter what's happening around you, you always have a lifeline to the outside world.
It's a powerful idea,
Yeah.
and it highlights the potential of this technology to not just respond to disasters, but to potentially mitigate their impact in the first place.
It's a lot to consider. And I think it speaks to the broader conversation we need to be having about the role of technology, access, and equity in our increasingly connected world.
Couldn't agree more. We put a lot of time and effort into creating these videos, so if you found this helpful, please show your support by liking and subscribing. It really helps our channel out.
Until next time, happy diving, everyone.